My husband divorced me, took our $4.2 million California house, won full custody of our kids, and looked me dead in the eyes in court saying, "You'll never see them again." I lost everything within 42 minutes. 2 months later, I was sleeping in my dead mother's basement in Ohio, the same basement I once swore I'd never step into again. Cold concrete floor, rusted furnace, dust thick enough to write my regrets on. And yet, that basement became the place where my life ended and restarted at the same time. Because while I was cleaning, I found a hidden safe behind the furnace, and inside was a letter that began, "If you're reading this, they finally found you." I'm glad you're here with me right now. I want to tell you how I reached that moment, broken, shivering, holding a letter that smelled like old paper and secrets, and how everything I believed about my family collapsed in a single night. But before the safe, before the dust and grief, there was sunshine. Back in California, before attorneys and betrayal, I lived a picture-perfect life. Or at least, that's how it looked from the outside. My name is Emily Carter, 39 years old. Mother of two, Noah, 10, and Lily, 7. Wife, or former wife, to Daniel Carter, a man with a surgeon's steady hands and a lawyer's sharp tongue. We had a cliff view villa, a pool that sparkled like bottled summer, neighbors who waved like we were royalty. I thought we were unbreakable. I thought I was loved. Funny how blind happiness can be. It shines so bright you don't see the shadows forming behind you. I should have noticed things earlier. The late-night phone calls, the business trips that lasted a day too long, the perfume scent on his shirts that wasn't mine, floral, expensive, bold. But I told myself, he's stressed. Marriage goes through seasons. We'll fix it. Denial is a comfortable pillow until you wake up choking on feathers. The divorce hit me like a truck without headlights. One morning, he was kissing our daughter goodbye for school. That afternoon, a sheriff handed me divorce papers on the porch. I remember the paper trembling in my hands, my reflection in the glass door behind it, hollow-eyed, confused, like I had been pushed out of my own life. "Sign it. It's just paperwork," he said that night. Just paperwork? It was the blueprint of my downfall. The court trial was quick, too quick. His lawyer came armed like a general, mine barely spoke. They twisted stories, painted me unstable, emotional, unfit, as if being heartbroken was a crime. When the judge granted him custody and property, Daniel smiled, small, controlled, victorious. Then he whispered those words that still burn inside me. "You'll never see them again." A line no mother forgets. I moved out the same evening, sold my jewelry to afford a ticket to Ohio, to the home I once ran away from, to the woman I hadn't forgiven when she died. The first night in the basement, I cried until my throat burned. Grief tastes like iron, like blood you swallowed instead of spitting out. But pain isn't the end of a story. Sometimes it's the door you're forced to walk through. 3 days later, while cleaning the basement, I pushed the old furnace aside after a spider crawled up my arm. That's when I saw it, a metal panel embedded into the wall, covered with paint, almost invisible. I scraped it with a screwdriver. Underneath was a small safe, cold to the touch. My hands shook while I spun the dial. Birthdays, anniversaries, dates that didn't work. Then, almost jokingly, I tried my birthday. Click. The door opened like it had been waiting 20 years. Inside was a single envelope, yellowed, sealed in red wax. My mother's handwriting on the front, shaky but unmistakable. To Emily, open only if they find you. Who were they? Why would she hide a letter from me? And why did she think someone would come for me one day? My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it echo off the cement walls. I opened the letter. The first line was nothing like I expected. "If you're reading this, they finally found you." And that wasn't even the shocking part. Before I begin, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. And if stories like this stay with you, please like and subscribe. It really helps me continue sharing the truths I've carried for years. Now back to that moment, standing in my dead mother's basement, letter trembling in my hands, furnace still humming behind me like it knew something I didn't. If you're reading this, They finally found you. Those words sat heavy in my stomach, like a stone dropped into restless water. I reread them 3 times, expecting the meaning to change, soften. It didn't. My mother had been gone 6 years. Cancer, quick, brutal, unfair. We never reconciled. I left Ohio at 21 and promised myself I'd never return. She was strict, paranoid at times, always locking windows twice, warning me about people I had never met. Sometimes she'd whisper things like, "Some families guard money, ours guards truth." Back then, I thought she meant emotional truth. I didn't understand it then. That wasn't the worst part. The letter continued. "If they pushed you back here, it means you're alone. Broke. Hurt. They want you desperate. It makes you easier to control." My breath hitched. Who were they? Daniel? His family? Someone else? I couldn't connect the dots. Not yet. The basement smelled of old paint and forgotten years. I sat on an overturned milk crate, cold seeping into my bones. A single bulb swung overhead, casting shadows that looked like reaching hands. I kept reading. "There is a truth buried in our bloodline. Your grandfather tried to erase it. Your father feared it. I hid what I could, for you. If you are reading this, the cycle has returned. You must finish what I couldn't." A chill crawled across my spine. Cycle, bloodline, hidden truth. I thought my life fell apart because of a divorce, but this letter hinted that everything happening to me wasn't random, like someone had been waiting for me to fall. The next line was underlined twice. "Do not trust anyone who offers help now, especially those with a smile." My mind jumped to Daniel, his calm voice in court, his practiced charm. His family wealthy, connected, old money type. They always treated me like an outsider, polite but cold, like I was furniture placed in the wrong room. One time, his mother told me at dinner, smiling politely, "Some doors open only for those born inside the house." I laughed then. Now it felt like a warning I ignored. The letter finished with directions, coordinates, written faintly in pencil, and a key taped inside the fold. A small brass key, tarnished but heavy. Older than me. My heart pounded. I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or laugh at the insanity. Divorce was one thing, but this? A secret safe, hidden letters, coordinates? Part of me wanted to throw it away. Start over. Forget everything. But another part, the part Daniel couldn't crush, whispered. What I found next changed everything. I placed the letter aside and sat in silence. The basement was cold, but my thoughts were burning. If my mother hid this, it meant she lived her life waiting for someone or something. Something she believed would return. The coordinates pointed to a location across town, near the abandoned Harrington rail yard, a place people avoided after dark. My childhood fear said stay away. My loss said go. I wrapped myself in my mother's old coat I found in a box. It still smelled like lavender and old coffee. I pocketed the key, folded the letter, and stood. As I reached the staircase, I hesitated. Grief and curiosity warred inside me. I whispered to the empty house, "Mom, what were you protecting me from?" No answer, only the hum of the furnace, like a heartbeat in the walls. One thing was clear. My divorce wasn't the beginning of my downfall. It was the trigger someone had been waiting for. And the safe was only step one. I turned off the basement light and, with the letter in my pocket, stepped into a night that felt like it was holding its breath. The night outside was colder than I remembered Ohio ever being. Fog crawled across the street like something alive, clinging to my ankles as I walked toward my car, a beat-up 2008 Honda I bought with the last of my savings. The coordinates burned a hole in my pocket. I kept checking them like they might disappear. The Harrington rail yard was 23 minutes away. Far enough to think twice. Close enough to ignore fear. The road was empty, just streetlights flickering in a slow pattern, like they were breathing. Every few blocks I whispered to myself, "It's just a location. Just a key. Just a letter." But deep down I knew nothing about this was just anything. The closer I got, the more old memories surfaced. My mother driving past this place, locking her doors without explanation. her hand tightening on the steering wheel when she saw the old Harrington sign. Once, when I was 8, I asked why she never stopped here. She said only 2 words, staring ahead. Some stories stay buried. I didn't understand it then. I do now. The yard was massive, rusted trains sleeping like metal skeletons, tall weeds swallowing the tracks. A chain-link fence stood half broken, like time itself had given up on guarding it. Moonlight reflected on wet rails, making them look like silver veins running across forgotten land. I parked a distance away and walked the rest, gravel crunching under each step, echoing too loud for comfort. The coordinates led me toward Warehouse 3, a brick building with shattered windows, roof sagging like a tired old man. Graffiti covered one wall. Keep out in red paint that looked uncomfortably fresh. My fingers tightened around the brass key in my pocket. It felt warmer now, like a pulse. As I reached the rusted door, I hesitated. This was insane. I had no weapon, no plan, no proof that any of this mattered. But then Daniel's voice echoed in my head. You'll never see them again. If this letter held even a chance of helping me fight back, I would walk into hell itself. I pushed the door. It groaned open. Inside was pitch black. Dust particles floated in the beam of my phone flashlight like silent snow. Rows of old crates stacked to the ceiling. Broken pallets. A smell of oil and forgotten time. I moved cautiously, searching for something, a box, a lock, another safe. The brass key had to fit somewhere. After 10 minutes of scanning every rusted surface, I saw it. Hidden behind a fallen metal shelf, half buried under debris, was a small iron chest, no bigger than a showbox. Rounded corners, carved designs, ivy pattern, delicate, old. A keyhole that matched my key perfectly. My breath stopped. This wasn't some cheap lockbox. This belonged in a museum. My hands trembled as I kneeled. I heard water dripping somewhere in the dark. Wind whistled through broken glass. I inserted the key. It fit like it had been waiting for decades. Click. The lid opened slowly, stiff with time. Inside was a bundle of documents, wrapped with a red ribbon. And beneath them, a photograph. I lifted it carefully. My mother was in the center, younger, smiling, standing next to a man I didn't recognize. Tall, sharp features, gray eyes that felt familiar. He held a newborn baby, Mia. But what made my heart stop wasn't the picture. It was the handwriting on the back. This is the day we changed your name. My name? Changed? Why? A tremor of panic crawled up my spine. Had my entire identity been altered? Was I not who I believed I was? I flipped through the documents. Old birth records, 2 sets. One crossed out, one official. Why would my mother hide this? And why did she think they would come for me? One more item was buried inside, a folded map, edges torn, marked with 3 red X's. The first one matched the warehouse. 2 more remained unexplained. My flashlight flickered, once, twice. Then footsteps. Behind me. Slow. Deliberate. Too close. Every hair on my arm stood up. I wasn't alone. Someone else knew about this place. Maybe had been waiting for me. Or followed me here. My pulse thundered in my ears. I whispered to myself. This wasn't just a family secret. Someone wanted it buried. I grabbed the documents, shoved them into my coat, snapped the box shut quietly, and turned toward the darkness, heart pounding so hard I thought it might echo. A shadow moved near the doorway. Tall, still, watching, and then a voice, calm and unsettling. You shouldn't be here, Emily. My throat dried instantly. I knew that voice. I just couldn't place it at first, like a nightmare memory stirring in the dark. When my phone light swung toward the figure, the breath punched out of me. It was Daniel's brother, Michael. Clean suit, polished shoes. Here, in a rotting warehouse at midnight. Of all people. He stepped forward slowly, palms out like I was a wild animal ready to bolt. Emily, he repeated softly, you shouldn't be here. My grip tightened around the documents inside my coat. 1,000 questions clashed in my mind. How did he find me? Was he following me? Did Daniel send him? I forced my voice to stay steady. What are you doing here? He exhaled, a tired, heavy sound. I came to take you home. Home. The word felt like a joke. I didn't even know what home meant anymore. Daniel wants to talk, he added, like that explained anything. As a family. I laughed, sharp and bitter. A family? He tore mine apart. His jaw tightened, but his eyes flicked around the room, nervous. Not nervous of me, nervous of the place. He stepped forward, lowering his voice. You don't understand what you've stepped into. Those papers, they belong to someone dangerous. Another step closer. I backed away instinctively. His expression shifted, urgency mixed with something else I couldn't read. What do you want? I whispered. Emily, listen to me. He swallowed hard. You were never supposed to open that safe. Your mother made mistakes. Big ones. She ran, and she stole things that weren't hers. My skin prickled. Stole? My mother? The woman who saved coupons and counted pennies? No, I said, shaking my head. You're lying. He sighed, shoulders dropping like he expected that reaction. I hoped you'd trust me enough to leave peacefully. But if not, his eyes landed on my coat where I clutched the documents. I'm going to need those back. Heat surged through me. Anger, fear, betrayal. Everything I had left was in those papers. No, I said louder, firmer. You can't have them. His face hardened. Emily, if you knew what your mother was involved with. But before he could finish, I ran. Instinct, panic, survival. My footsteps echoed like gunshots in the empty warehouse. Crates blurred. Shadows smeared into streaks. I didn't look back. I burst through the side door, lungs burning, cold air slapping my face. I sprinted toward the fence, feet skidding on gravel. Behind me, Michael's footsteps followed, not rushed, but purposeful. He wasn't panicking. He was confident he'd catch me. That terrified me more. I reached the fence, squeezed through a bent gap, fabric ripping against metal. I heard his voice on the other side. You can't hide forever. We always find our own. Those words froze me mid-stride. Our own. What did that mean? What own? This wasn't just about divorce or property anymore. I jumped into my car, locked the doors, hand shaking violently. Engine coughed before roaring alive. I sped off, tires kicking gravel like sparks. My reflection in the rearview mirror didn't look like me, eyes wide, hair wild, breathing shallow. A woman running not just from a man, but from truth. Back at the house, I slammed the door, collapsed against it, chest heaving. The documents spilled across the floor, old paper whispering secrets. There were 2 birth certificates, one with the name Emily Carter, one with a different name entirely, Amelia Harrington. My blood ran cold. Harrington, the same name as the rail yard, the same sign my mother always feared. So she changed my identity, hid me, from them, from my own family. I stared at my reflection in the dusty basement window. Stranger, orphan, mother, runaway. Everything was wrong. My life hadn't fallen apart randomly. It had been designed to collapse. Divorce, custody, property, the sudden aggression in court. Daniel marrying into the Harrington family years ago. This wasn't coincidence. My entire life, I'd been living under a borrowed name, protected, hidden. And now, that shield was gone. My hands trembled as I whispered, "Who am I, really?" No answer came, only the cold basement walls listening like witnesses. One thing became painfully clear. My mother didn't just hide the truth. She was running from it. And by opening that letter, I took her place. I was next. But what I found next in those documents broke me more than losing everything ever did. I sat on the cold basement floor for what felt like hours, surrounded by yellow documents and pieces of a life I never knew belonged to me. Emily Carter, the woman who loved, married, lost. Amelia Harrington, the woman I was born to be. 2 identities, 2 destinies, and I was somewhere between both, trembling. I wanted to scream, cry, burn every piece of paper and pretend none of this was real. But another voice whispered beneath the panic, quiet, steady, unfamiliar. A voice that sounded like Amelia. Stand up. So I did. I gathered the documents, spread them neatly across the basement table like puzzle pieces. Birth records, property deeds, a faded newspaper clipping from 1985, headlines circled in red ink. Harrington family scandal, will dispute over old fortune. My mother's handwriting below it. We were never meant to inherit. But we did. Inherit what? Money? Land? Something worse. Then I found it, tucked behind the certificates, a legal transfer document. One line hit me like a punch. Rightful A, Amelia Harrington. My breath caught. The Harringtons didn't want me gone because Daniel hated me. No, they wanted me gone because I was the heir. The house, the custody battle, the humiliation in court. It wasn't about love or children. It was strategy. And my mother, she tried to hide me to save me. But by marrying Daniel, I'd walked right back into the family they were fleeing from. No wonder his mother looked at me like a threat she couldn't name. Every memory rewound differently. Daniel insisting on joint accounts to monitor me. His mother urging us to move near her to keep me close. Michael showing up at the warehouse to intercept me. How long had they known who I really was? Had Daniel married me because he loved me, or because I was useful? That question broke something soft inside me, something naive. I wiped my tears with the sleeve of my mother's coat. Pain was sharp, but beneath it was something hotter. Resolve. They took my home, my children, my identity, but they left me one thing. Truth. And truth is leverage. I spread the map from the chest. 3 read excess, 1 visited, 2 left. The second X was marked downtown, near a law firm. Harrington and Pierce. Daniel once interned there. Mother didn't hide money. She hid evidence. Maybe documents proving inheritance. Maybe proof of fraud. Maybe the reason they feared me. Suddenly, this wasn't about survival anymore. It was about taking back what was stolen, my life and my children. I whispered to the empty room, I'm done running. For the first time since the divorce, I felt my spine straighten. Fear didn't vanish, but it stopped steering me. I created a plan. Scan every document, digital backup. Visit the second X location at Harrington and Pierce, but not alone. Find legal leverage strong enough to reopen custody. Use their secret against them, quietly. And if forced, expose everything publicly. I'd fight, not as Emily the broken ex-wife, but as Amelia, heir to the truth. I packed the documents into a waterproof binder, hid it under the carpet beneath the furnace, a place only I knew now. Took pictures of every page, uploaded them to 3 cloud accounts, password only I could memorize. If they wanted to hunt me, fine. But this time, I wouldn't be prey. As I zipped my coat and grabbed the map again, a thought struck me so hard I had to sit back down. If I was the heir, then my children, Noah and Lily, were next in line, not Daniel. Not his wealthy family. My kids. And custody wasn't just emotional loss. It was strategic control. If anything happened to me, they would gain everything. But if I came back with proof, I could take everything back. My heart didn't break then, it hardened. I stood from the basement, switched off the light, and whispered into the dark. This isn't over. Not by a mile. Tomorrow, I would go to Harrington and Pierce to claim what was mine. But I had no idea that what waited there wasn't a document. It was a person. Someone who had been waiting for Amelia for years, and knew more about my mother than I ever did. Morning came too fast. I barely slept, mind racing, replaying Michael's voice inside the warehouse, my mother's handwriting, the birth certificates. I brewed coffee I didn't taste, stood in front of a mirror that felt like a stranger's reflection, and tied my hair back like I used to before high-stakes meetings. Except today wasn't business. Today was war. I dressed plainly, jeans, black coat, no jewelry, no makeup, nothing traceable. Phone charged, documents scanned, photos hidden across encrypted drives. I wasn't walking into Harrington and Pierce blind. I was Amelia Harrington reclaiming what was stolen. The building was cold glass and steel, towering over downtown like a monument to money and control. People in suits moved like chess pieces, fast, efficient, unaware of the storm walking through their door. Reception looked up. Polite smile. Unknowing. Appointment name, she asked. I inhaled once, then spoke slowly, testing the weight of my real name for the first time. Amelia. Amelia Harrington. Her smile faltered. Barely, but I saw it. She typed something, eyes flicking to her screen, then back to me with a stiffness that wasn't there before. One moment, please take a seat. But she didn't call anyone. She pressed the silent alert button under the desk. I realized it instantly. They knew the name. They feed it. Good. I didn't sit. I walked straight toward the hall of offices like I belonged there, and strangely, it felt like I did. The walls were lined with family portraits. Generations of Harrington men in suits, Stein faces, legacy dripping like oil paint. Second row. Middle frame. The man from the photo at the warehouse, the stranger holding baby me. My father. My stomach flipped. Not Daniel's father. Not Michael's father. Mine. And next to him, my mother, younger, smiling but strained, like someone holding joy with trembling fingers. Before I could breathe, a voice behind me froze my spine. You shouldn't have come here without protection. I turned. An older woman, silver hair, sharp eyes, expensive black suit. She walked like power was stitched into her bones. Not Michael's mother. Older. Higher. My aunt. I didn't know how I knew. I just did. Recognition is sometimes blood memory. She looked at me, gaze piercing enough to peel skin off secrets. So, the lost Harrington returns. I swallowed. You know who I am. Of course. She stepped closer, voice low and smooth. We've been waiting since the day your mother stole you. Stolen. My pulse thundered. She didn't steal me, I snapped. She protected me. A fractional smile touched her lips. Protected you from responsibility, from what this family owed you. And now, she exhaled slowly, eyes narrowing, you've walked right back into the world she tried to escape. I showed no fear. Not now. I want the original will, I said, and every document my mother hid. Her smile vanished. Knife hit. You think you can walk through that door and take what you believe is yours. Her voice cut like ice. You're alone. No money. No allies. No power. I stepped closer, heart racing, hands steady. I have proof. Birth records. Transfer deeds. Photos. Evidence your lawyers can't bury anymore. And if anything happens to me, it's already backed up and scheduled to send to press. A lie, but she didn't know that. Her eyes flickered. Fear, quick and real. For a second, I felt power shift beneath my feet. The ground no longer swallowed me, it carried me. You don't understand the danger, she whispered now, softer, urgent. There are people in this city who would kill to stop an heir from resurfacing. I'm not here for blood, I said. I want custody of my children restored. And what was left for me, for Amelia. And I want the truth. Her jaw tightened, conflict behind her eyes. Not hatred, regret. You look like her, she murmured, voice breaking. Your mother. She was brilliant. Stubborn. She could have ruled this family, but she ran. I blinked. Ran. Or was forced to. What happened to her? I demanded. Silence stretched. Thick. Dangerous. Then she whispered. She died because she came back for you. The words hit like a blade to the ribs. Cancer didn't kill her. They did. Air vanished from my lungs. I staggered back, vision warping, emotions crashing like waves. My mother's death wasn't natural. It was consequence of protecting me. Tears blurred my eyes, not weak, but burning, volcanic. You took everything from me, I said, voice shaking not from fear, but rage. My home, my children, my life, but you forgot one thing. She stayed, waiting. I survived. Silence held like a stretched wire. Then she nodded once, small, decisive. Follow me, she said. There's something you need to see. Something only Amelia is allowed to claim. She opened a secure door behind the portrait wall, a hidden archive room. Inside, locked behind bulletproof glass, was a black metal folder with a gold crest. Harrington's seal. My inheritance. But the moment I reached for it, an explosion of shouts echoed behind us. Security. Rushing. Boots pounding marble. Time was gone. She pressed the keycard into my hand. Run. And I did. Folder clutched to my chest, heart slamming like thunder. Behind me, voices roared. Stop her. But nothing could stop me now. I wasn't Emily anymore. I was Amelia Harrington, daughter of a stolen legacy, and I wasn't leaving without what belonged to me. I didn't look back while running, not once. The city blurred around me as I sprinted through the revolving doors, street noise exploding into the air like freedom itself. I didn't stop until I reached my car, breath sharp, heart vibrating in my ribs. The black metal folder with the gold Harrington crest felt heavier than any object I had ever held. Not heavy in weight, heavy in consequence. I sat in the driver's seat shaking, fingers gripping the leather so hard my knuckles whitened. A million thoughts battled at once. Fear, disbelief, triumph, grief. Then a quieter one slipped through the chaos. My mother didn't die of cancer. She died protecting me. I pressed the folder to my chest and cried, not the broken sobs of a woman who lost everything, but the deep, raw release of someone who finally understood her past. My phone buzzed, a number I recognized, Michael. I didn't answer. Let it ring out. He called again. 5 times. Then a text flashed across the screen. We need to talk. You're in danger. Another followed seconds later. Please. For the kids, don't make this worse. For the kids. My children's faces flooded my mind. Noah's missing front tooth smile, Lily's habit of braiding my hair while telling stories. I hadn't seen them in weeks. Every night I slept with their photos under my pillow, whispering goodnight to empty air. This fight wasn't about money or legacy anymore. It was about them. They were Harrington blood too, rightful heirs like me. And now, I had leverage. I drove home in silence, every traffic light, every shadow feeling like it watched me. Paranoia tasted bitter on my tongue, but determination tasted colder, sharper. Back in the basement, I opened the black folder carefully. Inside were original documents. The true Harrington will, naming my mother, and then me, as heir. Proof of fraudulent transfers made by Daniel's side to conceal assets. A notarized letter signed by my grandfather, stating, the estate passes through the blood of Amelia. Custody addendums tied to inheritance law, documents Daniel surely knew existed. My knees nearly gave out. If I filed these, not only could I reclaim my inheritance, I could invalidate the divorce ruling and fight for full custody. The Harrington name wasn't my weakness. It was my weapon. But power comes with responsibility and danger. My aunt risked everything by giving me that key card. Security chased me. Michael was tracking me. Daniel was likely panicking. A war was forming, and I was no longer the victim crawling through the ashes. I scanned everything again, triple backups. Printed copies, sealed them, labeled them as insurance. One set under the floorboards. One mailed to a P.O. box. One scheduled for automatic release if my phone went offline for 48 hours. Prepared. Armored. Untouchable. For the first time since the court hearing, I felt breathing space in my chest, like the world, once crushing me, now waited for my next move. That night, I stood outside my childhood home, looking at the dark windows, thinking of my mother. The woman who died alone so I could live free. The woman I resented for years without understanding why she was afraid. I whispered into the cold air, Mom, I know now, and I won't waste what you died to protect. The wind moved the dead leaves beside my feet, soft, like a blessing. Or maybe I wanted to believe it. I didn't sleep much. Instead, I made lists, strategies, timelines. Who to contact first? Which lawyer to hire? How to expose Daniel without risking the kids? Every step forward hurt, but it was a constructive pain, like muscles rebuilding after trauma. By dawn, I made my decision. I would meet Daniel and Michael, not as Emily, lost and broken, but as Amelia Harrington, rightful heir and mother reclaiming everything that was mine. And when I looked at my reflection that morning, I didn't flinch. I saw strength. I saw legacy. I saw a woman who survived hell and came out holding the flames. But there was one piece missing, one truth I still needed. A final, buried secret only my mother could have answered. In the middle of the folder, tucked between legal papers, was a small envelope I had overlooked. My mother's handwriting again, thinner this time, like written in her final days. For when you're strong enough. My hand shook as I held it. Inside was a photograph, my mother, younger, holding the same iron chest, standing with my father. But behind them was someone blurred, face scratched out violently with ink, and a line written beneath. The one who betrayed us still lives. My heart stopped. There was another player in this story, someone not seen yet. Someone with motive and power. And they were still out there. This wasn't over. Not even close. I wiped my face, stood tall, and whispered, "Next, I take back my children." The next week felt like stepping onto a battlefield, except instead of guns and armor, I carried evidence, truth, and a name powerful enough to shake a courtroom. I filed everything. The true will, the fraud records, the inheritance documents, and the custody addendums the Harringtons had buried for decades. The judge's face shifted when he held the folder, confusion, then disbelief, then something like fear. Daniel sat across from me in his expensive navy suit, calm on the outside but pale beneath it. Michael was there too, shoulders tense, eyes avoiding mine. My lawyer, one of the best inheritance litigators in the state, hired with funds released after the inheritance claim was validated, stood beside me like a silent shield. The court reviewed everything. Days turned into hearings, hearings into arguments. But truth is patient. Truth waits, even when people try to bury it. And 1 month later, the bang of the gavel sounded like thunder rolling back through time. Custody restored. Inheritance recognized. Fraud investigation opened. Daniel didn't look at me as the courtroom emptied. Not because he hated me, but because he finally feared losing what he took. He whispered once, barely audible, "You weren't supposed to win." I held my head high, but I did. Later that evening, Noah and Lily ran into my arms, collapsing into me with tears and giggles all at once. No judge, no family, no legacy could ever match the weight of that moment, holding my children again, warm and alive and mine. We moved into a townhouse while the estate transfer finalized. Small, bright, filled with second-hand furniture and first-hand laughter. I painted the kids' rooms myself. We ate pizza on the floor the first night. Lily braided my hair again. Noah fell asleep with his hand in mine, like his heart remembered even after his mind forgot. Peace didn't return all at once, but piece by piece, slowly, like sunrise creeping across a bruised sky. I still think about my mother, about the letter she hid from me, about the safe behind the furnace, waiting like a heartbeat in the dark. I think of the life she sacrificed, the danger she carried, the secret she died holding. I wish I could thank her. I wish I could say I understand now, that I forgive her. Maybe she hears me. Sometimes at night, when the house is quiet and the world feels gentle again, I talk to her. I tell her I found courage she must have hoped I'd inherit. I tell her her hiding wasn't the end of our story. It was the beginning. Not all battles are loud. Some are fought in courtrooms, basements, old warehouses, inside shaking hands holding faded documents. Some are fought in a mother's heart, choosing sacrifice over safety. And sometimes, winning isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your name. I learned something through all of this, something I want to leave with you. Strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Try again tomorrow." And I did, every day, until tomorrow became victory. Now I live a different life, not perfect, but honest. The estate is still in legal transition, but the inheritance has already funded the kids' future. We drive to the Harrington rail yard sometimes, the place where everything began, where fear turned into truth. I stand there quietly, breathing in cold air like clarity. I survived betrayal, divorce, loss of home, but I gained identity, truth, and the kind of strength only pain can forge. I'm not just Emily. I am Amelia Harrington, daughter of legacy, mother of two, woman who rose. And if my mother could see me now, I think she'd smile, tired, proud, knowing her fight wasn't wasted. Because I finished what she couldn't. Did you like my story? Please like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know how far this story of mine travels. Final moral in one clean sentence. Sometimes life breaks you so you can rebuild into someone you were always meant to be.